Hi, how are you? I need a mic check. Had more things go haywire. And as requested at the end of the podcast yesterday, I've got the little silent, or not silent, the little low beat in the background, except that last time I started off on a 14 volume and nobody noticed. Hi, Dannon. There's Pan. I hadn't seen you in a while. Mazin's here. Well done. Corey, loud and clear. Thank you very much. I swear another ant just bit me. I guess. I don't know what else it could have been. I turned the little volume up to about 28. And I went back and listened to it last night, and I couldn't hear anything. But then at the very end, I turned it up. I could hear it a little bit. Okay, so y'all can hear it. All right. Well, today's topic is one that I've become subjected to at one point in my life, and it's kind of embarrassing that I did it, but I didn't do it on purpose. I don't think I did. The topic of misogyny and misandry. I've known what the definition of misogyny was for a very, very long time, but I didn't realize there's an actual definition for the exact opposite. We know whenever it applies to men. And for those that I saw it were asking, and I guess this isn't that big of a topic, but just based on the number of votes that I got, but which is actually good. I mean, maybe it's not as big as I thought, but I still think maybe perhaps people just don't know what it is. Misogyny is basically the general distrust, dislike, and or hatred of all women. And the reverse being true, the general distrust and dislike and or hatred of all men would be misandry. And I was curious. I work with people that fall victim to this, that have to deal with this. I myself, years ago, at the lowest point in my life, I was a misogynist. I admit it. I was there for about a year. I hated all women except for London, and she was my daughter. And I guess I kind of justified it in my head because she was my daughter, and she was so young, she wasn't grown. Anyways, how y'all doing? Hello, Miss Sharon. How's the thing down under? Angel Herring. Hello. You're a new name. Of course, Sarah Jane is not new at all. I see her all the time, and I'm glad. Brad Moore, what's up? I'm doing well. Hannah, why is the music there? I just wanted to change it up. I kind of like it. Like I said, yesterday I had it down on a volume level of 14, and nobody even noticed for the first hour and a half until I brought it up. And then like, hey, well, actually, yeah, I can hear that. So I just decided to double it and bump it up to a 28. Cochise, how's Caleb? Caleb's well. Caleb's down to 182 pounds. Rocking this body, losing the body fat, sticking with my diet, sticking with my exercise plan. I did skip yesterday, but we went to the beach to celebrate 44 million views on the Parker movie. Hayden and I did. But I didn't skip today. I made up for what I would have done yesterday, and I did back and biceps. And tomorrow is legs. I rarely skip legs, but I hate legs. Bradmore, I'm sure everyone's here from the 14-year-old video. Mostly, yeah. That's about how most people even know who I am. Sarah Jane likes it. Cool. Here's a new person. Woodbury Girl 93. Happy stream. I'm trying to make it. Cool. Alrighty. Well, I put out a poll as I normally do. I've never realized the value of these polls until I started figuring out what they're used for. I can use them for this. And this one I put out early this morning, 11 hours ago. Let me refresh it. Okay, 12 hours ago. Usually I've only have have it up like 5 hours beforehand, I get like 600 or 800 votes, and I've had this up 12 hours, and that was just interesting to me. Only 296 votes, so basically 300 votes. That tells me either this isn't a problem or people generally didn't know what misogyny or misandry actually were. And the results are, let me just read it. Which do you think is more dangerous, misogyny or misandry? I'd like to hear your thoughts as to why. Either way, I'll be discussing both topics tonight on the podcast at 8 p.m. Eastern right here on this channel and reading your comments. We only got 9 comments on this one. Again, well, maybe this is not as big of a problem. To me, it really is. I don't know if it's people didn't realize what it was. To me, it is a problem. For misogyny, 17% of the people say misogyny is more dangerous. Misandry, a close second, or about the same, about 14%. And then I went ahead and put a third in there and said both are equally dangerous, which had the overwhelming majority of 69%. Some of these comments here. Jedi and Solo. I almost said misandry just because it is so overlooked and even acceptable, justified in some circles, but in reality, both are equally dangerous. I think they are equally dangerous. I think the outcome can be different for both. We all know, everyone that's my age, anyway, 20s, 30s, 40s, been divorced, have with little kids. Generally speaking, the father has to pay child support. Mom almost always gets the kids about 90% of the time, though that seems to be changing a little bit. But what I mean by, I think that they are both equally dangerous, but it just depends. Well, for example, when I didn't get full custody of my kids because I didn't really go for it, I was like most other people that get divorced. Like even old Backward Brian was saying, it's kind of understood that you get divorced, you got little children, then mom's going to get the kids. That's just how it is. But on those occasions, when a mother doesn't get custody at all or supervised visitation, God forbid, unless she deserves it. And sometimes, well, again, we all know the courts are crooked as hell. I happen to know a bunch of good mothers that have been wrongfully slapped way, way, way harder than they deserved by the judge, metaphorically speaking. And so when a mother gets that kind of treatment that men are generally used to getting, I think it hits harder for them because society doesn't look at it the same as if it was a father. Oh, Caleb Leverett, that guy, he didn't get full custody. He's a good dad, picks up his kids all the time, but, whatever. But if the reverse were true, Joanne, I'm just picking a name, Joanna Smith, she seemed like a great mom, and she got divorced from her dickhead husband, but now all she gets is supervised visitations and or whatever the schedule may be. People just it seems like they're much harder on them. Like, what did you do, mother? You must have been a tramp or a trollop. You must have been caught with a needle in your arm, because that's about the only way. I mean, that's literally a saying. I remember hearing that growing up. The only way a man will get custody of his kids when he gets divorced is if he has to catch his ex with the needle in his arm. That was it was common knowledge, or a running, not a joke, but just a saying. But again, that's where now that my mind is cleared, it seems like a lot of when this unfairly happens to mothers, it hit society overly criticizes them much, much, much harder than they do with men, because it's just normal for us. Dan, and double check y'all. Everybody still good? Yeah. I don't know why I get paranoid when I'm off in another. I can't see what's going on, but then I think they are equally dangerous potentially, but misogyny has done more damage historically than misandry. We do see more misandry nowadays than misogyny, though, which is causing tremendous damage in a number of ways. Yes, traditionally, I mean, obviously, women didn't have the right to vote. Women couldn't do a lot of things. At some point, and even in this country's history, couldn't even own property unless she was married. And some people may not even look at that as misogyny, but to me, it absolutely is. Well, she's human, but she's not quite human. She's not as human as the man. So she can't own property. She can't vote. But thanks to Title IV defunding, passed back at around the same time as Roe v. Wade, men have been getting that pendulum swing really hard back the other direction. And men have been getting the absolute piss beat out of them. And what I see is clear and absolute misandry. The video game tuts. In modern times, misandry, and it's not even close. Misogyny in modern times doesn't stand a chance. Anything that's even the smallest bit sexist towards women, or even sexist at all, but women perceive it that way, is immediately canceled, terminated by mainstream society. Misogyny, at least on the large scale, poses absolutely no danger in modern society. And this person continues. Misandry, on the other hand, isn't even talked about. That's actually true. I have a feeling that a lot of people just didn't know what it is. I didn't know what it was until, I would say, just a few years ago. The reason why it's vastly more dangerous in modern society is because its mere presence is either ignored, justified, or accepted as a way of life. That's pretty much what I just said. Yeah, he nailed it. This person nailed it. And what's worse is that there are women out there who truly believe that as a whole, they are the victims and men are the oppressors. Do you know what that creates? When oppressors truly believe that they are in fact victims, you get things like the Nazi Party. The Nazis truly believed that they were the victims, and the people they sent to the concentration camps were the oppressors. This type of stuff is what you can start to justify when you have a victim mentality becoming truly disgusting. This is why misandry is 1,000,000% more dangerous, and like I said, not even effing close. Oh, that's pretty extreme there to bring in the Nazi Party. Maybe I never thought about it that way. Seems a little extreme, but I wouldn't say don't fool yourself. I mean, misogyny does exist. I mean, that's what basically MGTOW, men going their own way. That's what MGTOW revolves around. Christine E, can you give your definition of both, please? I'm getting conflicting info as to what they are exactly. Well, obviously I've given it, but some people just don't know what it is. They've never heard of it. F.R. Etling, misogyny doesn't exist anymore. Whoa, that's kind of a bold statement. The feminist movement was very successful at getting rid of it. However, it was not so successful at ending misandry and actually encourages it. Oh, well, I'd say that's a very bold inaccuracy. I know misogyny exists. I mean, I'm not saying in all aspects of life, but it definitely does exist. I was a misogynist just a few short years ago, at my lowest of low, when I was one small little blip away from being completely homeless. I'd been jailed, my kids taken from me, moved 375 miles away from Odessa to San Antonio, and I just, for over there for a while, I hated all women. I hated them. I didn't want anything to do with them. I started falling in with MGTOW people, and I must say, I've said this before. I think the MGTOWers have a weird, strange, positive place for men going through divorce. Because when you're hurting in every level, like everything is just aching, the pain of, not seeing your kids, not knowing what's going on, being just completely replaced by some simp enforcer. When you get some comfort from somebody, even if it's from, a MGTOW, it's nice. It makes you feel a little bit better, and you're happy to take it. But I say that only to say that should be like a soft landing place, but not a place to remain. And I'll say the reciprocal is equally as true for the women, the mothers out there who unfairly get mistreated in the family courts, losing their kids, never seeing their kids, alienated completely. I don't know what the acronym equivalent is, women going their own way. I don't know, if that's a thing, but I see why they would fall in with such a group of people, a bunch of, man haters saying, hey, sweetie, come here, we'll take care of you, screw all men. They're all bad. They all think with their dicks, and it'll be okay. And they make them feel good. Well, I can see that as a nice soft landing, but to stay there and just hate on all men for the rest of your life is just a horrible, horrible way to life. If for no other reason, your own sons will someday be men and potentially in the same position that you were when you went through the family court. And I would like to think that no mother would want that for their own son as a grown man. Sienna Price, my husband, my mom, and I all think both are dangerous. There's good and bad in both circles, but it doesn't mean that all are bad. All people are bad? Well, of course not. But yeah, I'm kind of in agreement. They're equally dangerous. There's just different ramifications for each one. Hannah, hate either way can cause violence. Oh, yeah, it'll set people off, that's for sure. Michaela Shonk, what are those? I don't even know what they are. Yeah, bless your heart, Michaela. I hope you don't have to see it. See in firsthand what it is, but you might as well learn what it is. Yeah, Dan, misogyny is basically hatred or prejudice towards women, and misogyny is the hatred or prejudice towards men. So I would say the poll is about, I guess that's about what I expected. It's kind of nice to see that it is equal, and I try to be. Let me get over here. How do I take that off? There we go. I try to be fair. I really, really, really genuinely try to be fair. Now, that being said, jokes against men, jokes against women are absolutely permitted and should be permitted and are hilarious. Even the raunchy ones, even misogynist jokes or I don't know what the word is. Misandry. I think jokes are the exception. They're just jokes. But I try to be fair as I possibly can about in divorce court with men and women. I want to point out equally on both sides what happens, and it just so happens at the moment most men get screwed more often. Doesn't mean I'm saying that it's always like that, and there aren't exceptions, because obviously there are. That's just how it is right now. And with that being said, just because men have been getting screwed in the family court does not mean that my solution to the problem is for women to equally get just as screwed. That is not at all what I'm calling for, what I'm trying to do. I like doing this podcast because I like trying to find a solution to these problems. I don't know what all the answers are. Mary Townsend, I think family court enforces hatred. It most certainly fuels it. It most certainly does. And I figured, but at the same time, I figured out shortly after I got out of that funk, I'd say probably 2015, 2016, I got out of that funk. And in 2017, when I got custody of Blaney Boo, I've talked about this many times. I had 27 people show up in court for me, of which 23 were all mothers. And I don't care who you are, when you go to court and your side is packed with people who support you, and you're in there for some, potentially serious crimes or, the fate of your children's, and you've got a packed court of people on your side, it makes a difference. And I promise you that judge doesn't give two rips what the gender of the people. They just see support. They're like, "Ooh, okay." I don't know if judges will ever admit that, but I don't see how they could not. But I think Judge Sarah Kate Billingsley is a good person. I think or at least I'm just talking hypotheticals. I'd like to think the same result would have happened whether I had the support or not. But I just can't help but think and be thankful for all of those mothers that sat on my side of the aisle. Because there's nobody on the other side of the aisle except about the 9 cops that showed up. So I promise you, I wasn't saying, well, I wish there'd been more men back there. Not at all. I was happy to have the people supporting, and again, I was not blood kin to any of them, not one, not my sister, my own mother. None of them showed up. They were all mostly people that I went to high school with, mostly. Brad Moore, my mom is good and my dad is good too. They were arguing earlier, but that's casual with parenting. Oh yeah. A video game nut. Everything exists on a small scale, but we're talking about large scale misogyny, misandry. Correct. Yeah. Well, particularly as it pertains to the family court, I propose that in all divorce cases, that the default platform is 50-50 parenting. Now the parents can split them up however they want. 2 weeks at mom's, 2 weeks at dad's, or 3 days at mom's, 3 days at dad's, and then, for half the year, and you swap it over to 4 days at mom's, and, however they want it, but 50-50, and no money exchanged. None. We have reached the point where, I kind of see where some of those comments are coming from earlier. We've reached the point where women make damn good money. I know loads of women that make a shitload more money than I do. When you get divorced, you're 50-50. You brought the kids in the world, take care of them. Now, if the parents themselves want to split and send money one way or the other, that's on them. But I think 50-50 ought to be the default. Because in my case, I was self-employed. I got my kids the first, third, fifth weekends, plus Thursdays. So I'd pick them up from school on Thursday, and they'd be with me, and they'd spend the night. And then Friday morning, I'd take them to school every Friday morning, every single Friday morning, because I got them all every Thursday. So every single Friday morning, I was the one that took them to school. And on the first, third, and fifth weekends, Fridays, I'd pick them up from school, and they'd stay with me through the whole weekend. And then I would take them to school first, third, and fifth weekend on the coming Monday morning. And I did that for about 2 years until I got sued. But all this time, while I'm spending this time, which I brought them into this world, I was willing to raise them. I insisted on it. But I'm having to not be at work. And so while they were all with me, they weren't at their mother's house. Why was I having to pay $2,625 a month plus the alimony? No one paid me $2,625 a month. I mean, why can't I just demand I get $2,600 a month? I had them. I've added it up. When you add up the number of hours I had them in the beginning, it was about like 43 or 45% of the time. It was almost 50-50 on time. The major difference was that gigantic child support payment that broke my ass. Hello, Faye. Brain Dead. Hello there. Just came from the Parker video. Glad you're doing well. Well, thanks, Brain Dead. It's hard calling you Brain Dead. I'm not trying to insult you. That's just your name. Michaela, you ever put vinegar on your stomach? No, I didn't. It didn't. I don't think it quite burned as bad as I thought it was going to. Avsi, where's your son? Which one? Two of them just ran to the store. They had to go get some cookies or something. They have a sugar pit, and Parker is in Texas. I bet she's either at work or at home. Mazin, women definitely make a ton of money nowadays. Yep. It's pretty much the same, if not more, than men, in my opinion. LOL. Shit, they can just do OnlyFans. Things get rough and they can make money. He's kidding, but actually shouldn't be. I mean, that's a good topic, actually. OnlyFans. I don't have a problem with it if that's what they want to do. That might make some people mad, but at the same time, how many women make money from OnlyFans compared to men? I'd say it's probably 100 to 1 or 100 to 0. I don't know any men that have an OnlyFans. I'm sure it exists, but generally speaking, that's where you go. If you're a woman, you can make money doing that. Men can't. And why is that? Harry Townsend, yeah, this having to pay the mom for everything is ridiculous. Golden uterus syndrome. I happen to agree with Mary Townsend, who I can only assume is a woman who just said that. I happen to agree. Why? If women's lib, that big movement it's generally over. The whiners, the women whiners today that say they whine about unfair treatment. I'm not saying there's not unfair treatment in certain areas. Roe v. Wade, that's a big hot topic. Women are the only way that the species continues. But compared to the way women were treated way back in the day, which really wasn't that too long ago. I don't remember when the women's right to vote came in, but it was less than 100 years ago, I think. The women have got way far more equal opportunities than the women of yesteryear. Dana, that's why I wonder what possessed her to say that you had checked out. Was it really the lint and the floss? Well, I was just picking lint. I was just doing like I'm doing now, just looking at a flosser. I don't know if I should even guess as to why. All I can say is I never checked out, ever, not once. As to why she said it, I probably don't even need to guess it because I can't prove it, so I don't know. But I can say that I never did check out, ever, not one time. Yanni, I've not spoken to my father since before my imprisonment in Indonesia, which started in 1997. I despise him as a person, and I'm glad I freed myself from that person he raised me to be, a misogynist. That'll do it, man. I feel you. That'll do it. You get resent. Oh my goodness, I've got a little bit backed up here. Tori, I haven't got 2 nickels to rub together because of the court system. All my wealth is in something that doesn't physically exist, but it's my only way I have thought to be able to live a happy life. I can only assume he's talking about cryptocurrency. And right now, crypto is way, 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 way down. All altcoins are down 90+%. And I'm not going to go on and on harping about crypto, but I'd be remiss if I didn't bring it up. Everything that goes down in crypto almost always goes up, especially DeFi. I think Tory is very wise to have what little he's got in the DeFi sphere and Bitcoin itself, because we're looking, the next bull run's coming. About 2 years. It's going to start roughly about 2 years. The next halving in Bitcoin happens in the spring of 2024. Better get it while it's cheap now, because it's going to go through the roof. Hannah, I've always wondered if your ex-wife actually played a role in you having to go to jail, or if it was just the family court. I don't know. I do remember I don't know. I would just be guessing on when back in the Parker days. I do recall when I was in 2017, I was raising mortal hell on Facebook and YouTube about what was happening. And I do remember something to the effect of they were asking for a certain number of years as a penalty for every derogatory thing I posted or said, or, derogatory. Where's my fucking son? Every video I made about Blaine, where's he at? I want to know it. Show me, give me the code to the NICs. For every one of those, they're asking for a certain, I don't remember, it was number of days, 60 days per, or a year per. Oh, let's just say a month. They want a month for every video I made talking about wanting to get my son, made her look bad or whatever. And I don't know, there's maybe, 100 of them. So 100, basically the rest of my life in jail, or, I don't know how many, it was a bunch. I do remember that, but thank the gods that didn't happen. Karen, hello. Caleb, Texas Texas in the chat. How is Texas? I know you're hotter than hell. I talked to Parker earlier, and he said it is just blistering hot. Faye Teeter, amazing. Hi, how are you? Okay, they're talking to each other. Michaela Shock. I feel like Parker's mom was only putting on an act for the camera in the Parker video. Perhaps. Mazin. Yeah, I've definitely been enjoying and learning a lot more from these podcast streams, more than any history class I've ever took. Oh, well, cool. Call me Professor Leverett. Somebody, I can't remember who it was. Somebody, I pinned it yesterday, and we had that pervert on here. Kept hitting on, I'm not even say, but he knows who she is. And it just pissed me off, and I kind of lost my shit yesterday. And whoever it was, I pinned it. They pinned the comment and said something to the fact, when the nice teacher gets pissed, or when you cross the line and piss off the nice teacher. God dang, that guy pissed me off. Drove me nuts. Doozer 619. Caleb, how do you think a supportive stepdad would have helped with your ex? Maybe he had to deal with the stuff with her. Wouldn't be surprised if he is dealing with what you went through now. I wouldn't be surprised either. Not that I care. How do I think a supportive stepdad would have helped? Just butt out. Just completely butt out. It had absolutely nothing to do with him. I'll forever maintain that to my dying day. Stay the hell away. With the Parker stuff, you should have just walked in and just stayed away. I have my suspicions why he was out there, but I can't talk about that because it's just a suspicion. But just butt out. Michaela, do you get to see London? I've not seen London in a while. About a year, but I hadn't been back to Texas in a year. But I can't talk about that. Yeah. Okay. Well, he was, and I was just trying to, not bring, a spotlight to it. But yeah. Sam Sturtridge. Hi, Caleb. Hello, Sam. How are you? You seem like that was a new name. Sorry, it's going to be in the hundreds for the foreseeable future, from what I see near here down in T-Town. I don't know where T-Town is. I know where H-Town is. That's Houston. T-Town. Johnny, pro tip: when you break your phone and your son lets you borrow his old one, do not go into the camera roll. You'll remember why you're a granddad at 49. Thanks for the tip, Johnny. Ugh. Oh, shoot me now. I would die. Jared Holloway, what's worse is when your ex's new partner is as nasty to them. Oh, the stories I could tell you. Oh, yeah, they just need to butt out. I've said that for a long time. Men, if you are deciding to marry a woman with children, her children ought to be her priority, and you're second. Shitty as that sounds, at least for now, while they're little bitty cheerings. But if their dad is actively involved in their life, even if obviously they don't like each other, they got divorced. But if he's actively showing up and trying to be a good dad, stay the hell. I wouldn't marry her in the first place. And if you did, you'd have to have this understanding that you're second fiddle, man. You can help out, but when there's any more than a level 3 problem in the family, it's none of your business. She has to be the disciplinarian if they're with you, or when they're in that house. But when the dad's around, butt out. Unless y'all happen to be friends and can talk. I mean, I wouldn't have a clue what that would be like. Like MM from the boys, how he was. They were able to talk. Of course, MM wound up punching him in the kisser, which I thought was hilarious. But anyways, I'm getting off on a little bit of a tangent there. So hot, triple-digit hell in Texas. Yep, I don't miss that. It gets pretty hot. It gets like 90 to 95 here, but it stops about 3 o'clock. The clouds come in and it cools it off back down to about 80, and it stays that way, and it only gets cooler for the rest of the day. It's really nice. Sam, I'm doing all right. My surname isn't very common, apparently. I'm told that Sturtridge comes from Cornwall in England. Probably. That sounds something Englandy. My BFF lives there. I'll ask her. It's just short for Texas. Oh, T-Town, Texas. Okay. 110 degrees here in Louisiana. Dannon, are you a hillbilly too, just like me? Louisiana? Michaela, we saved a couple of kittens in a storm drain, and now they're in my room, my bed. Good for you. Oh, kitty. Nikki Steele. Hey, man, how's life? Life's a hell of a lot better now that my kids are grown and not subjected to the fucking crooked family courts. 102 felt like 108, I bet. Just muggy, and it stays that way. I mean, yeah, it rains in Houston, but not like it rains here. It's like a predictable. The shade's coming at 3 o'clock, and everyone just kind of knows it. It stays freaking hot till after the sun goes down in Texas. Oh man, I've already got there. I gotta catch up here a little bit. Oh no, that's a different pro tip. County pro tip: don't tell someone that their wedding is a once in a lifetime experience. I said that to my sister's first wedding. She's had 2 more since. Really? I've had 2 wives and 2 weddings, and if I ever get married again, I don't think I'll have a wedding. And if I do, it's just an informal come as you are type deal. But yeah, my second wife, we talked later and we both regretted spending the money. Like, it just wasn't worth it. I think weddings are just insane. But as in, it's different with girls, bro. Not sure what you're talking about there. Plus, they're not even nice. They think they are fine, but they're not. Okay? Maybe they just have confidence. There's nothing wrong with having confidence. Man, if you had one reason not to move back to Texas, what would it be? In motherfucking Paxton, for one. That and all the, if think of the worst thing that's ever happened to you in your life and where it was. Would you go back there? Probably not. It's the worst thing that ever. My worst life experiences all happened in Texas in the family court, and that's the reason I won't go. Sam, it's been in the 90s in the Bay Area of California. I think that's pretty common there. I know I've got a lot of friends in California, but I don't really know it. Can we see your cat? Maybe in a minute. Not right now. Professor Leverett, maybe. Teenagers need to focus more on themselves. Maybe. I guess it just depends on the topic. Cats both look like gray tigers. Dorian, if you already checked out the video that I was telling you about yesterday, what'd you think of it? I remembered you telling me to check something out, Dorian, and I was going to screenshot it, but I did not watch it. But I can say, hey, what's up, Pepe? How are you, Mr. D's Nuts? Ooh, here's a good one. Has Paxton faced any retribution yet? Nope, not yet. He's up for re-election, though. He did make the primary. He will be on the ballot again in November. But for those that are following my Paxton stuff that close, I put up a video on April Fool's Day of this year where apparently the AG's office, they want my case off their books almost as equally as I do. Which, speaking of, 7 days from now, we are 1 week out from the 5-year anniversary of me getting custody of Blaine, which means that is the 5-year anniversary. After you watch that video I posted on April Fool's Day this year, the 5-year anniversary that Gavin Norris, my own attorney from Odessa, Texas, and they're in Ector County at the Norris Law Firm, who is currently still my attorney, has still not updated my file with the Attorney General. And you can bet your sweet, sexy little asses on that day, 7 days from now, July 21st of this year, I'm going to have a big old heyday. I'm going to make a big old stink about it online. Pull out the virtual party cakes and the party hats. And I'm going to put the pressure where it needs to be. Thanks to that phone call from the AG, a guy named Robert Green with the AG's office, Texas AG's office there in Amarillo, Texas, called me. It's about an hour, a little over an hour long. You can watch it. And we got to the bottom, which is the bottom of the problem, and which was more answer than I ever got from my own attorney. And I'm going to kind of drill it on home about my own attorney, Gavin Norris, there in Odessa, Texas, attempting to get fired or remove himself from my case. And apparently there's no judge that's signing the order, so he can't even fire me. So he must, he's under an oath to represent me. And so far, 5 years, I don't feel represented. I am the one who has to wake up every morning with that shit hanging over my head. Oh, I'm behind again. Here, the only part of marriage more expensive than a wedding is the divorce. Oh, yeah, sure. I started to make a a joke there about funeral, but I guess I shouldn't do that. As in, wait, you didn't go to the main comment about the girl thing. I look so dumb now. Oh, sorry. I didn't. I miss a lot. I'm sorry. The worst thing that happened, Yanni, the worst thing happened to me happened in Indonesia, Timor, now independent East Timor. I don't know if I'm saying that right. I went back there because it brought me peace and forgiveness and forgave every person who tortured me. Wow. Did they ask for forgiveness? I don't know that I could do that, Yanni. You're a bigger man than me. If they asked for it, maybe I might could. I'd like to think I could. But if they haven't asked, if they show no remorse, I don't know that I could do that. You're a bigger man than me. I'll work on it. If you can do it, maybe I can do it. I'll work on that. Yanni, I was in prison with shitty food, no showers, no phone calls to my family for 3.5 years from 97 to 2001. I remember you telling me that. That is just unbelievable. Not saying I don't believe it. It's just crazy. Man, when it comes to if teenagers dating, I believe they should do it only if they have genuine connection, not just to do it or just to stay single like I do. I mean, I hope they don't have kids, but outside of that, I think teenagers just, yeah, they need some guidance still, but just go be teenagers. Some of them raise hell, and that doesn't mean they're bad people. Maybe it just means they're rebelling. Hello, I raised a bunch of rebels, but they had a good reason to rebel. They're tired of that thumb on their heads all the time. Yanni, I could only go to East Timor, though. Indonesia proper still wants to arrest me and considers me a fugitive. I wouldn't go, man. Just stay free. Somebody was chatting here last week. I believe his name was Robert, I think. He's got a warrant out in the state somewhere, but he's off in some tropical island just living it up. He invited me to come down. I might take him up on it someday. Who knows? Sam, I'm convinced most teenagers are eager to get on with the dating process, even if they don't understand how a relationship is supposed to work properly. Well, that's the only way you learn. I mean, shit, I didn't know what I was doing. That's why and nobody does. Nobody knows how this works. That's why I say don't get married in your 20s. And if you do, at the very late 20s, date around. Test drive the car before you marry it, so to speak. This whole idea of never having sex before marriage is a bunch of controlling religious crap. I mean, that's a big. If you don't match romantically in bed, and you wait till after you're married to find out, you are asking for misery. Absolute misery. I'm not saying go be a whore like I was for a while. I'm not saying that at all, but I looked up your alimony terms. A partner gets 25% of your assets. Is it larger with children? It's different, Sharon, in all states. It's different. And it also depends on what point in time it happened. But I used Texas. There isn't automatic. There's no such thing. The last I heard, there's no such thing as automatic alimony. It's like if they get divorced and there's no kids and she just wants to take half your shit. They have community property, property that the couple acquired since the marriage. Each party is entitled to half, and there's specific rules there. But with alimony, in my case, it was simply a tool that we used to, instead of me dissolving my business and selling off all the assets and giving her half the money and me half the money, I chose to, instead of that, keep my fledgling little business and pay her $2,000 a month for like 12 years. That was the only that's how the alimony worked there. I was young and dumb. I shouldn't have ever agreed to even that, but I did. It is what it is. When I finally escaped prison, I got back to Australia. The first time I showered, I bled severely. That's how malnourished, weak, and filthy I was after I was denied any medical care or shower. Damn, dude. Dang. Yeah, I'd never go back to that place. You can write them a letter if you don't forgive them. I wouldn't potentially subject myself to that or in any shape, form, or fashion. Michaela, my door doesn't stay shut, so I took a shoelace, ties it to the doorknob, and I put the other end on the thumbtack so it stays closed. Okay, I'm not sure how that's relevant to what we're talking about. Cadence Phelps, I believe everyone can be forgiven, but doesn't mean they should be. I can't imagine forgiving some people in my life, and I'm okay with that. I'm with Cadence. I don't. There's some people. I don't. Maybe I should. I'll do some soul searching. But some people, in my opinion, they don't deserve forgiveness, even if they ask for it. Because if they are asking for it, I have to ask, why are they asking? Because they want a lenient sentence. They want me, like in my case, they want me to shut up. They want me to take down all my videos because it's making them look bad, making it harder for get a job, or are they genuinely remorseful for what they did? They cuffed my son over and over and over at age 13. They strapped him to a goddamn gurney in the next hospital, pumped him full of drugs. I just don't have any desire to fucking forgive any of them for that, especially if they don't ask for it. Okay, let's talk. What is parental alienation? Parental alienation is when parents split up and one parent tries to make children believe that the other parent, and wrongly so, the other parent either doesn't love them, doesn't care about them. They basically lie to them to make the children grow up to think that parent, the other parent, is bad or doesn't care or is absent or doesn't love them. When in fact the opposite is true. That parent wanted to be there, wanted to show up, wanted to be there all those formative young years, and were strictly forbidden to. They had, judges issuing, restraining orders and stuff like that. And the people with the big guns pointing, threatening, if you go near them, if you call them, if you do anything, then we'll put you in prison. So a lot of parents, instead of going to prison, they just choose to abide by it and let their kids grow up in another town with another man or woman or whatever the case may be, and they don't know them. And then the kid grows up with mama issues or daddy issues. Sometimes they have reunions when they get older. Most kids that I know that didn't know one parent or the other when they grow up, want to find out who their other parent is, who they are now, maybe find out if they ever actually cared. That's why I encourage parents who are facing such things, and I know a bunch of men and women, mothers and fathers, when they're facing these sort of things, keep journals, keep daily or at least weekly journals. If it's nothing more than a Facebook post, make an effort to keep a journal, let that child know this happened today. This is the anniversary of when you were born. This is, or when you had your first, your first word or whatever, or your first walk. And I did this for you, and I did that for you, and I thought about you. And if you keep those journals, maybe, they're not going to know you when y'all meet. You can explain your case. I love you, daughter or son, and I tried to be there, and I wasn't allowed to be. Maybe the child believes them, maybe they don't, and that's when you can bring up these journals. Look, I tried so hard to get to you. I want you to see what I did. I want you to go through this volumes and volumes of videos and journals that I made, because just expressing how much I loved you and cared you, and I just simply was threatened with violence or jail or whatever, or just flat. They hid you from me, and I couldn't find you. And when the child reads it, they're, I would say, far more likely to be able to say, holy crap, all these years I thought dad just hated me or didn't care, or he actually tried. And then they can, makes it easier to form a bond, a relationship, when they can trust them. They, they're not just saying, yeah, I tried, but they're showing them, they're proving, here, I tried. That's part of the reason I keep my story up. Not just to help other people, which I'm glad it does, but I want to remind my kids on all the things that we lost. Like Dr. Graham was talking the other day, all the times that the memories that don't exist, it ain't because I wanted it that way. I really tried my absolute heart out to be there as much and as often as possible. And I want them to know it, because as they get older, they're just, London's the only, well, no, they're 17 and 19. So I got two of them in, late teens. They're in the late teen stage, and everyone knows at that age that, they're still growing, they're still changing. So anyway, I went off a little too much on that. Be humble. That is a good quality. You can be both humble and confident, depending on the situation, but in many situations it's very good to be humble. I go back, just from Yanni, I go back because I love the Timorese people. They're all very apologetic for what happened to me there, and most of them suffered even worse under the Indonesian rule. Yeah, well, and that's understandable. Just, again, FaceTime or invite them to where you are. Yanni, I hadn't seen you in a while. I don't know did you watch the interview I did with that man, Quintana, Caesar Quintana? I think it was on Monday. His story sort of reminds me of your, not exactly, but similar. Think about it, or if you care to, if you want to go watch that. It was an interesting interview. His 2-year-old was kidnapped by his own mother, who had lost custody after her third or fourth DWI with the child in the car. And she had dual citizenship from the U.S. and Ukraine. And she caught him at a vulnerable moment. He just had surgery. And she wound up kidnapping the child and flying him over to Ukraine. And he went over to Ukraine, and then I won't ruin the whole story for you, but it's not exactly the same, but just check it out if you care to. Panna, your ex-wife was right about one thing. Being a teenager is hard. It is. Yeah, no one said it wasn't. And calling the cops on your child does not make it any easier. I promise you that. I promise you that does not make it any easier. And she did that a lot. I was disgusted when she said, "I have no doubt that Caleb loves you to the best of his ability." Yeah, that's I would say that is textbook parental alienation. That is just my opinion. Pokey Q, if both have no experience, there is no other experience to compare it to. I'm assuming the no sex before marriage thing must have worked fine in the past few thousand years. Yeah, but did it? They had the betrothings. Women were betrothed to marry other men. They were prominent in the village or this whole obsession that so many religions have with the sexual past of particularly girls, the virginity of girls, and them bleeding is just beyond bizarre to me. I don't know why there's such a focus on it. Like Virgin Mary. Like, it's nobody. If I was married, I'd say, hey, none of your motherfucking business if I'm a virgin or not. It's just so creepy to me. And then there's people that, like, they take this dead seriously. And if she strayed one night, or if heaven forbid, some asshole forced, I can't say the R word, but some asshole forced himself upon her, she's turned it away and shunned as if she had any choice in it at all, but she's bad because she's not a virgin. Just sick. That's just another one of the reason I'm just not religious. I think it's all made up mumbo jumbo brainwashing. They were raised to think that that's a bad thing, and so they think it's bad, and then they get in the real world and they don't know how to handle it. Like, so what? She's been with somebody before. So have you, asshole. Sharon Holloway, 100% right. Caleb, I've been doing that since day one of adopting my nephew. Dates and times of his disappointment. Oh, about the keeping a journal. Oh, cool. Good for you. Good. That's very, very well done. As a petition to get long hair Caleb back. Dude, I'm too old. It is too receding. I'm too old for that. I can put a wig on. Michaela, I feel bad for parents to have to go through that. All they want to do is be there for the kid and kids, and they can't because they have the parents keeping them away from you. Yeah, it happens. And it gets really, really complicated. Like, I have actually been accused of being an alienator myself, that's a whole nother psychological tactic, and it can get really confusing. Yanni, I will tell my story in full someday. I haven't been here in a while, just enjoying life here in Samoa. I'd really like to have you on someday. You've got a really interesting story. Robert Paul, you prefer Pito or Peeny Weenie? I have no clue what you're talking about, dude. Cadence Phelps, religion is outdated, to be honest. Society has changed so much over hundreds of years. Yeah, it's just my religion is be nice to people, be kind, protect your family, but you don't be necessarily kind when someone initiates force against you. You defend yourself, because I am not a pacifist, not by a long shot. I don't start fights, but I'm damn sure finish them if I have to. Dan, and they forced SA victims to marry their attackers in the Bible because she was supposedly spoiled by no longer being a virgin. Exactly. It's just beyond bizarre. It's just so gross. And people still to this day, they've got this fixation on virginity. I mean, I was raised that way. You'll be a virgin till you marry, and I believed all that crap, and it fucked my head up. It fucked my head up bad. I lost my virginity to my first wife, and I can't talk any further beyond that because of the nature of the situation, but it messed me up bad. Like, I just didn't, I wasn't prepared for the things that I learned. And I can't go into any more detail about that, but that's another reason I'm just not religious. And teenagers have sex. That's not earth-shattering news. I encourage safe sex, be protective, use prophylactics, use birth control the best you can. It's okay if you refrain. Hell, I personally haven't had sex in like over 2 years. Even before then, it was like once. It's been like years, and I just choose not to. And no, I'm not an incel. I deliberately choose this. So don't even go there with me. I'm not an incel. Not blaming. Panna, do you genuinely believe that you are kept away from your cheer-ins? Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, they weren't even legally allowed to move to San Antonio, but they just let them get away with it. Yeah, I had to have a gigantic pain in my ass for years going back and forth from San Antonio. That is a hard task to do. Pokey Q. I don't know about other religions, but Islam needs both to be a virgin. Adultery and R word are punishable by death. Maybe they are. I kind of doubt it. Maybe it's written that way, but is it enforced that way? I kind of doubt it. Not an expert, never been Islam. I've never been Muslim, so I don't have any firsthand experience, but I still kind of doubt it. Okay, let's shonk off topic, but do you agree with the school dress code? Apparently, boys get distracted by girls' shoulders. I don't know if I want to get off on that topic, but not necessarily. Then again, I wouldn't want to send my kids to school where all the kids were naked either. I don't talk much on podcasts and shit. I have Asperger's syndrome and I sound a bit dumb. I might write a book someday, though I hope it doesn't go viral and get me assassinated. Okay, that's fine too. I understand. As in Tupac or Biggie, Michael Jackson or Prince. I guess Tupac and Michael Jackson. Mr. Blister. I'm a Christian and I've personally saved myself for marriage. I'm currently age 20. I don't judge people who haven't, and I'm sorry to hear that it messed you up. Well, good for you. I mean, if you want to do that, if people want to do that, that's great. Just understand this one truth about life, about human beings. And I get this from the master, Dr. House off a House, Hugh Laurie. Everybody lies about something, sometime, somewhere, some way, somehow. And sex is one of those really good things that, for whatever reason, humans will lie about. So just be okay with that. And there's lots of jokes. If she admits to 3, it's probably 10. If she admits to 10, it's probably 30 or something like that. If he says he's hasn't slept with anybody, he's probably lying. That, just be prepared, because people do lie. And don't get your hopes up. Hannah, do you work like every day you didn't go to San Antonio? Wait, did you work like every day you didn't go to San Antonio? Yeah, I had to work. Yeah, I was a field mechanic. I was self-employed. I was a subcontractor. I took field calls. I waited by the phone, and if they called, I went. If they didn't call, I didn't go. So every day I was not in San Antonio, I was, depending on how busy it was, I was always in the field. I was always on it, day in, day out. I did about 5,000 field jobs in my career as a field mechanic. Let me tell you, I know religious wars. The Timorese rebellion was very much religious. Timor is 99% Catholic and Indonesia is 75% Muslim. Religion played a big part in the uprising and the war. Yeah, people go to war over things they can't even prove exist. They're gods. I think it's terrible. Okay, who's your favorite song artist? And what's your favorite song? I don't know. I've got a bunch. Probably Enya. She's my favorite. Overall, she's my favorite artist. And I just love all her music. Robert Paul. So my family is very religious, and usually they tell me that incest is the way of... Did this continue? The way of God. I think they're cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. No offense, but that's just fucking nasty. And I wonder if anyone goes through their entire life single. Oh, yeah. Yeah, my BFF in England, she's been single her entire life. She's never been married. And really hadn't wanted to get married. Doesn't have any kids. Doesn't want any kids. And she lives a happy life as anyone I know. That's why I tell my own kids and any kids that listen that are childless right now, you don't have to have kids in order to live a productive life. If you look around and watch people like me and realize that the divorce rate is about half, and if you really don't want to deal with the potentially subjecting your kids to going through what I have clearly documented can and will happen in a lot of cases in the family court, then just don't have kids. You can be free and happy and fine and do lots of helping things, and you do, if nothing else, you can adopt a kid. I mean, Lord knows there's what, 500,000 of them in foster care in the U.S. alone? Pokey Q, well, lashes if adultery when not married, but I'm sure the rich weren't enforced punishment like every time. Well, of course, then there's that exception. The rich don't have to get away with it, but does what Allah give a shit about money? Did they get rid of it? It's all made up. I don't believe any of it. Robert Paul, I personally don't agree with what my unkie does with my booty wooty. Is that the right thing to do? Dude, are you trolling me? Disney and Netflix are both paying for their female employees to go into another state to get an abortion. My parents won't pay for Netflix or Disney anymore. Well, are you sure, Michaela? I wouldn't be surprised if it was Disney, but I don't know about Netflix. Speaking of Netflix, I'm going to change subject a bit here. Have y'all heard of Netflix? They've got a new series out. Let me see if I can find that. Well, I can't really pull it up because I don't know if it'll cross over or not. But it's called How to Change Your Mind, and it's on Netflix. And if Dan has talked the other day about maybe we need to do a book, or not a book club, but a movie club, I'm going to be watching. It's a mini series or a limited series. It's called How to Change Your Mind. I think there's 3 or 4 1-hour episodes, and it's about psychedelics. I never got introduced into psychedelics until I was in my early 40s. I would know exactly. I was 44, like last year. And man, talk about changing your mind. And there's like all different kinds. And apparently they go through the, MDMA and the psilocybin mushrooms and LSD. Each 1-hour episode has a different topic on how this guy documented what they really were and what the perception of psychedelics were and how it is healing people. It's not just to get high, not just to trip, because the high you get from psychedelics is nothing like, alcohol or even weed for that matter. It is trippy, and it's changing people's minds where they don't have these obsessions or these phobias. So if y'all want to watch something that I'm going to be watching and probably going to talk about because I like it, I'm going to watch the documentary on Netflix called How to Change Your Mind. That's going to be fun. LOL. What are y'all laughing at? Laughing at me? Cadence. I grew up around Amish people. We all know they keep it in the family. It's really disgusting. I could go on and on about problems about being Amish. I never thought about it that way. Maybe they do. I don't know. Man, what is the worst crime that could ever be committed other than murder? The R word, doing those nasty things, those things to kids. That's about all I can, false imprisonment. That's pretty bad. What happened to Ross Ulbricht? I'm always going to give a plug for Free Ross and Free Ross Ulbricht anytime it's brought up. So it gets in the algorithm and keeps his name up on the list of hopefully someday Ross Ulbricht, who is the founder of the Silk Road, gets out of that prison. He is unjustly being imprisoned by it. That's pretty bad. It's up there as far as terrible things. Marvin, hey mate, I lost my going. There we go. Ricardo, yeah, that's. I'm pretty sure that's Ricardo, a Free Ross victimless crime. Ricardo's the one I was mentioning earlier, Yanni, about being down the island somewhere. And I learned. See how far I'm at. Good night. Hour and 14 minutes in. I learned a new word today. I'm just gonna leave that Free Ross up there. Let me see if y'all have ever heard of this. I can't pull this one up. Screen share. Y'all have ever heard of this? tab. Share. Have y'all ever heard of pistanthrophobia? Pistanthrophobia? I don't know how you say it. Pistanthrophobia. As I was talking about, or kind of preparing for talking about misogyny and misandry, I found this term, and I'd never heard of it before, but pistanthrophobia is... What is pistanthrophobia? Pistanthrophobia is a phobia of getting hurt by someone in a romantic relationship. A phobia is any type of anxiety disorder that presents as persistent, irrational, and excessive fear about a person, activity, situation, animal, or object. Often there is no real threat or danger, but to avoid any anxiety and distress, someone with a phobia will avoid the triggering person, object, or activity at all cost. And the more I read into this, I'm like, holy crap, there's another thing that describes me. Hang on. There's not much research specifically on pistanthrophobia. Rather, it's considered a specific phobia, a unique phobia related to a specific situation or thing. Specific phobias are quite common. According to the National Institute of Mental Health, an estimated 12.5% of Americans will experience a specific phobia in their lifetime. This person, Dana McNeil, says pistanthrophobia is a fear of trusting others and is often the result of experiencing a serious disappointment or painful ending to a prior relationship. As a result of the trauma, McNeil says the person with this phobia possesses a fear of getting hurt again and avoids being in another relationship as a way to guard against future similar painful experiences. Damn! This is like totally me. This is like, let me get back. Let that have it. The name right in the middle. Pistanthrophobia. This is like me to a T. This is why I've never been married again, because I get these knee-jerk reactions when I feel I'm starting to get close with someone. I have this overwhelming and irrational sometimes fear that this person, whom I have no reason to think would do these horrible things to me, will do these horrible things to me. And what I do, I've heard me talk to Allison. She's been in the chat here several times. She was here either last night or the night before. She was my girlfriend, and this is exactly what happened. I freaked, and she's one of the most wonderful human beings I've ever met in my life. Like, damn, I'll let that one go, and shit, one of those type deals. I still have it. I was talking to someone recently, and by no fault of hers, I did it again. I just freaked out and panicked and didn't want to go any further, because I've always known that about me, or in the last 10 years, I'm so messed up. Like I know I've got problems. I'm working on it, but now there's a name for it. So now I've got a name for it called pistanthrophobia. And I can go look that up some more and find out what other people are doing to help deal or manage with these phobias, because that definitely describes me to a T. Yanni, I had said phobia. I never had a girlfriend. I just had one night stands until inevitably one led me to becoming a dad. Ooh. Pokey Q, you can try me, guys. I don't know what that means. What y'all talking about? Wait, Dan, male or female? What in the hell are y'all talking about? You can trust me, guys. Robert Paul, I'm female. It's sort of feline with rainbow hair and glasses. I found it online. Are y'all all just flirting with each other? Did I get off on this weird topic and now everyone's like, screw this guy? Good. And I'll be watching the documentary. I know next nothing about psychedelics other than the taboo. It is taboo. I was always ever told the taboo part that it would just screw your head up and make you do things you wouldn't normally do. And it's what little I've tried, the acid that I tried, oh, it's just so peaceful and calming. I'm glad that I was in a more of a recovered state, not just from alcohol, but just overall with the bullshit that happened in my family. I don't think I'd recommend it to people that are, at the bottom at the moment, like hanging out with the MGTOWs, like really depressed. I wouldn't recommend it. They've got people that know how to administer this stuff beyond doctors, or they call them shaman or something with the PMA stuff, and there's several different kinds. But when I tried it, it is glorious. It is so beautiful and so calming, and like the best way I know to describe it, you open up your mind to so many different dimensions of thinking that ways that you've never thought of before, and you just stay up all night long and you just think, and it releases these anxieties that you have. That's why they call it changing your mind, because people have these phobias and these anxieties about all kinds of things, traumas in their past, and they're actually using these psychedelics to heal them. These are healing agents. This isn't, like Bud Light and Old Crow whiskey or whatever your favorite gin is, your favorite Hollywood drug pusher peddlers pushing on you for the day to get fucked up with no benefit whatsoever in alcohol. They're using these psychedelics to heal trauma. Like maybe I can heal my pistanthrophobia if I try the right thing and administer it and I'm in the right state of mind. I don't know. I don't know exactly what it's about fully. That's why I want to watch it. Oh, I see what it is. Not funny. Robert called me a boy and asked me what my profile picture was. Okay. I mean, I don't care. Grown people can do whatever they want to. That pervert last night, that was she's with that youngin' and messing with, and just actually just sent me off. My channel banner is the pic I took yesterday with Samoans. I'm the white guy in the middle pointing at the camera. My son is to the left of me, my wife to the left, and my daughter to that left. I can't see it from my end. Tori, it sounds like people who use the toad and go on a trip, they say it's life-changing. Yep, one of these days I'm going to lick the fucking toad. There'll be the right setting, the right place. I'm going to make it just right. I'm going to have it be a fun experience. I'm going to get on here and talk about it. Man, I hope psychedelics don't act anything like alcohol. Alcohol is a menace to society. Yeah, absolutely not. Yeah, there's no comparison. And for young people, I mean, I'm obviously not talking to you. I'm talking to mature adults. Even then, I think they talked about a documentary about doctors prescribing some of this stuff. Obviously, you'd want to talk to a doctor on some of this stuff, but often some acid tabs. If you're a consenting adult in the right setting and you're being safe about it, let's just say that I've partaken and I love it. It is very, very It is absolutely nothing like alcohol. Alcohol is just straight up fuck you up, ruin your liver, poison your mind, cloud your judgment, make you do dumb shit that you wouldn't normally do. Yeah, that's alcohol. Robert Paul, Caleb, do you hate me? No, Robert, I don't know you. Why would I hate you? Johnny, I look super Greek in my channel banner though. Okay. Did you know you could break bones easier with the lack of vitamin D? Maybe, yeah. I only want to take a poopy. Okay, now I don't hate you. I just think you're fucking weird. Bet, where do you live? Yeah, you're going to get banned when you start talking shit like that, man. Vitamin D is bone support. Yeah, Robert, yeah, you got about 2 more seconds to chill out, and I'll just fucking ban you, dude. Yeah, tough shit. I don't fall for that. You're out here, dude. And block. Goodbye. Goodbye. Robert Paul was blocked. Yes, haters, I blocked a troll. He was talking smack and said he had an excuse. He had ADHD, and there's plenty of people with ADHD that don't act a fool like that. And yes, I blocked him. Haters, drunk tea, and back to black and blue. Yes, I blocked him. It's not that he was trying to expose me or anything like that. Just being an idiot. Kitties were coming up on an hour and a half, and I'm losing my voice. And I think I've about beat this dog all the way down. If you were getting anything out of my stuff, out of my podcast, and you know somebody that might like it, I am still actively trying to grow my channel. If you would send it to your friends, talk about it and bring it up. Hey, this Caleb, hey, I see you're going through an alcohol bout, trying to get off of it. Hey, I see you've gone through a shitty divorce. I know this dude online that I'll follow online, and he talks about all kinds of crazy stuff that doesn't necessarily fall lockstep and barrel in with what mainstream says. If you would just pass it along if you've enjoyed it. So I am going to end this now. I will see y'all tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here on this channel for my recovered podcast. And consider not hitting your cheerings. Have a good evening.